Good morning, everybody, and today is yet another crazy day for crypto. Or rather, it's been a pretty crazy day for everything. The S&P quite recently has been falling. Crypto has finally been making some moves it has not made in a good while. But as you can see, right now we're back to the old stale, no price movement type of demeanor that we've had for the last 2 months almost. And I'd say everybody is keeping their eyes on the event, which is coming down in about, I think, 3.5 hours from now, the US inflation data. Bloomberg reports this: US consumer prices data set shows a wave of disinflation. Index likely rose 0.2% for a second month. Report to reveal wave of disinflation hitting US economy. Before we move on, make sure you go ahead and press that like button on this video. Let's see if we can get to 500 likes right now. I also think a lot of you guys are not going to get a notification for this, so make sure you've got the notification bell on. But you can only really post 3 videos a day to get a notification for them, and I've already posted 3. So a lot of you guys are just going to have to find this on my channel, but hey, I still think it's worth the update. Anyway, so the inflation numbers are coming out in a couple of hours. I'm putting up UTC right now, 12:30, or UTC plus 2, which is the time I usually use, 2:30. So most likely by the time you're watching, about 3 hours from this point. And again, we're basically going to get wind of the core inflation rate and the normal inflation rate, with again the expectation of the actual inflation rate to have increased. All right, the previous was 3% and the forecast is 3.1. Month over month, it's expected to continue like it was last year with an increase of 0.2%. It's now been stated that these specific reports that are coming out today, though, are going to be pivotal to get our expectations in check for whatever is happening over in September. While Thursday's data may augur against additional Fed tightening, August numbers due in a month's time may not look as favorable, the Bloomberg economists warned. Still, with rising oil and gasoline prices set to boost the headline CPI in particular, we expect policymakers to continue focusing on the core, which should keep moderating as growth slows. Because again, as of this point, investors no longer expect the US Central Bank to continue raising interest rates after lifting their benchmark in July to the highest level in 22 years. And another set of subdued inflation numbers would serve to bolster that outlook. And now we can talk about what exactly got the core, specifically inflation, down, like for example, moderation in rent prices, or specifically, and they focus on that a lot, the new and used cars, or really vehicles. But I'd say it like this: it's a pretty logical statement to make. If the inflation is not going completely out of control, the Fed doesn't have to tighten as much. And if they don't, well, for crypto, that makes a little special case, because in theory, the more tight, why did I make it so strange? The more tightening that they do, the more of a bullish case you could make for the crypto market, because it shows the economy is messed up. And in actuality, you can also start seeing it in the numbers here. As they keep increasing the interest rate, what you're basically seeing, all right, is from this quote: "We believe the recent moderation in core CPI is being driven mainly by deteriorating economic landscape, as like we stated before, the higher the interest rate, the higher the cost of capital, and so the less innovation that you generally see. And from that perspective, it could make sense that because these businesses all of a sudden are getting to a little bit of a turning point, that crypto is the solution instead of stocks." It's funny enough, though, that even though these numbers right now are being quite exciting, they're being happy with it, that the stock market, the S&P, NASDAQ, and everything is actually crumbling over the last couple of days. And again, that might be so because you can ask yourself the actual question: where is this real disinflation that we speak of, right? Bloomberg reports, hey, a wave of disinflation, because things are getting cheaper, generally speaking, like these car prices, etc. And apparently they weigh in pretty significantly, even though in the background, like beef, it's increased significantly over time. It's kept on increasing, and it's not really slowing down. And apparently under the subcategory meats, poultry, fish, and eggs from food at home, the BLS data shows a negative 0.2%, meaning that meat prices declined in the past year. However, like anybody with a freaking grocery shopping bill, if they've ever taken a look at it, know that prices have definitely not come down in the stores, at least. Now again, this is a whole topic of debate on its own, and a heavy one at that. You can definitely sit there for a long while. I'm just trying to say that the numbers that they share, or that they want you to fully believe in, could be like that in a little statistic book, right? Could be like that in the actual theory, but in practice, usually it's quite different. And we've seen that with any single price that they quote, because in my opinion, just my opinion, These guys will make their profit regardless. Regardless of the data that comes out, they'll make sure they got themselves a beautiful trade. So the numbers don't even matter that much. A good example here. Take this with a grain of salt because, well, it's just an allegation, all right? But I stand pretty close to it. Ro Khanna, a U.S. representative, just disclosed 2 trades worth $10 million. However, it wasn't his trade. He said the trades were for his 2 children for a private hedge fund called Elt Associates LLC. The kicker being, both his children are under the age of 14. Representative Khanna said, "These are diversified trusts for grandchildren set up by my wife's parents before I was married. The value is much less due to range. I have nothing to do with it. Own no stocks to support a complete ban on members trading stocks." Mike Gibson says, that's what I would say too. See, I would say the same thing, I guess. If I got caught like that, you have no way out. You can either ignore it or, in this case, a lie, because you know if you tell the truth, you're out, right? You can't be having that. It's interesting that his latest post, perhaps maybe he does that all the time, I'm not so sure, but his latest post is saying, hey, the inflation stuff, why are we raising the interest rate so much instead of just taxing the ultra wealthy? 5 hours after this post came out, which is kind of funny. Anyway, on our own trading journey, we've been looking at some interesting numbers on Bitcoin and on XRP. With Bitcoin specifically, we had ourselves our juicy bullish pennant breakout. Only problem is we did not get a confirmation yesterday, and right now many people are calling for this to be a shocker. You guys can pretty clearly see where we got rejected at. It's been a price level we've been battling for a significant amount of time on so many different fields. And it's actually the price that we also faced some struggle with just a couple days ago at the beginning of August. That's what we got rejected yesterday. So this breakout was nice. It got rejected though. Right now we're seeing a bounce off of the trend line, and potentially we're actually going to retest over the next couple of hours. On XRP, something pretty similar happened. We got ourselves our breakout. It was looking juicy. But then we got rejected, I believe partially because of the SEC shenanigans, the SEC news, where the SEC is trying to file for an appeal. They did not officially appeal, just quite. They're saying, hey, we want to appeal. And that caught the prices at a bad angle, made things drop ever so slightly. But again, we're in pretty much the same scenario as with Bitcoin, only the XRP upside is looking a significant amount bigger if it does continue with this breakout. And again, the most important threshold to cover for XRP is roughly 68 cents. And like we covered in the past, there's basically been no volume at these 2 thresholds. You can see these 2 white lines here. That's basically where the range of XRP is, where there's almost no volume and the price moves pretty volatilely. But the moment we break below or above, I'd say we're in a little bit more of a sustained price category because the price has been trading in those ranges for a long time, which is why a lot of people are saying, no, we need another pullback. The price rose up too much in this instance here. It's unsupported as of this point. And I'd like to say the opposite by saying, you know what? I think there's still a lot of demand for XRP that's kind of unshowcased that will most likely show itself the moment that Bitcoin shows any signs of bull run vibes, because right now Bitcoin is just being too uncertain for people to commit to XRP. People are trying to stay stuck with Bitcoin. But so again, the moment the Bitcoin does show a little bit of a reversal here yet again, so another attempt at a breakout, I do believe that could also signal a massive bullish little run for XRP. And I'd say the inflation numbers are going to set the precedent for all this. To add to my claim here, recently Bitcoin's dominance in the market has been overtaking pretty significantly. Even today, that number is up where the entire market is down. And that just shows that because of the low volatility and the volume dropping in every way, shape, or form, Bitcoin having the lowest volume in like 3 years, people are looking for more safety rather than gains right now. And they think they can find that with Bitcoin. So whereas this period here, right, this June-July period showcased a lot of volatility in the market, but still, again, the preference for Bitcoin. I'd say from the end of June here to the beginning of July, people started getting pretty excited again about the bull market being back, about altcoins coming in hot. And then throughout the end of July, people started really giving up this idea because the volume started dropping more. And now as August has come in, again, people are looking for that safety, and they are recouping that with buying more Bitcoin rather than altcoins. But this might also potentially be because of the announcements with regards to the ETFs, etc., that people are right now, because of the confirmed 6 months ETF, etc., looking to get more into Bitcoin because of the potential surge in that. I mean, we've also been watching the market cap, excluding Bitcoin. This is only altcoins quite closely, and seeing that potentially it just had some trouble at the 200 weekly moving average. And I'd say this is not on any altcoin individually, basically, but this is that some macro traders were just saying, hey, you know what? This is a price range where you should sell all these altcoins or short altcoins as a concept and go for Bitcoin, because again, it had a major barrier. Some say that you can't actually provide any TA or make any trades based upon the index of all the altcoins, because again, which altcoin are you going to trade? There's not really any trade options for all the altcoins out there. To circle back yet again, for Bitcoin and actually the entire market cap, one thing that could be quite peculiar is we've seen, and this little dotted line here is where the majority of the volume lies. That's again where the majority of the excitement lies, which is around 1.143. This is the entire market cap. But slightly above has been the area that we got rejected at just now. And slightly above that are basically the highs, right? The recent swing highs that we have probably or at least are going to probably see the majority of stop losses being hit, meaning the moment that the crypto market does take a little bit of a reversal, this is the bullish threshold. This is from where we basically get excited again. But this area right here is the moment that we cross that, where a lot of people are going to stop their trades, get out, and basically take safety, because if people were shorting, they were most likely shorting it every single time it got to this zone right here. Every single time, or perhaps a little bit lower, which could be right there at around this level, with their stop loss a little bit higher. Meaning the moment that we break out above this, most likely a lot of short traders are going to be stopped out. A little side note is that I've actually been quite fascinated by the way that Stellar XLM has been moving. Because as you can pretty much see from the chart right here, it's pretty akin to XRP, right? With massive pumps and a little come down. But if you compare it to XRP, either you could say that the price just pumped up significantly much more, and so the pullback was harsher. But I'd like to say that the price moved up and retraced pretty quickly, but now the gains are a lot more sustainable. And the way it's currently going is that it's actually starting to build, depending on, again, how the price reacts today, but starting to build a little pattern of higher lows. Again, where this is our initial low after the major pump, this is our basically second low, and as long as we bounce today, this could be another retest of the 200 weekly moving average that we got rejected at quite recently here, and could just be extremely bullish on XRP on the XP chart. Again, right now we're getting back to prices not seen in a good while for XRP, and instead of making these higher lows, we're actually making lower lows every single time. And again, depending on where the price moves over the next couple of hours or so, we could potentially actually look like this even, which is what a lot of people are expecting. They're expecting XRP has to come down even further because, again, of the low volume within this little range that we're in right now. I must again admit that it's not only XRP that's moving in a fashion like this. This is, for example, the Cardano chart. And you can see, right, XLM is a little bit of a counterexample because a lot of coins are moving just towards the downside of the last couple of weeks. Because as we also saw with Bitcoin's dominance, people are selling it for Bitcoin. Here's Litecoin, for example, and here is Ethereum. You can see that even though they all look slightly different, it's downside for sure on almost every single coin. Ethereum is down 10% this month. Litecoin, after the halving, basically is down 30% in a little bit over a month. VeChain is down 16.5% over a month. And then XRP, from its recent swing high, if we count the highest point, is down 33%. But if we only count where it closed at up till now, we're down 23%. So that means a lot of other altcoins are still performing significantly worse than these guys are. Stellar XLM, on the opposite hand, it depends on which price exactly you want to grab. All the highest point right here, the highest point, it is down roughly 30%. However, from the swing high after the major announcement of Ripple was made, it's only down 11% right now. Again, it's actually funny how Polygon is moving. Pretty different than any other crypto out there, but they're from the recent swing high are down roughly 23% also, so hopefully this paints a little bit of a better picture. I can't say at the same time, but recently here as well, the S&P has dropped roughly 3% over the last week or so, since the 27th of July. It's also started to drop significantly, and that might have also added in people being a little bit skeptical towards cryptocurrencies right now, because of this overall narrative that we are bearish on everything. And again, even though in theory, Bitcoin and the stock market, or even potentially the US dollar, should have an inverse correlation with one another. So the moment that people enter the stock market, they should exit Bitcoin and vice versa. If they get into crypto, they should exit from their stock market. That's not what's happening. People are seeing this crypto market as another investment vehicle. And so they're taking their money that they've saved up, putting a little bit into crypto, putting a little bit into stocks, and doing the same thing basically when they're exiting. So they're taking the money out of stocks because they're bearish or scared. They're taking the money out of these risk assets like Bitcoin or crypto. However, if you really start looking at the numbers, it doesn't make a lot of sense. A while ago, you could have potentially made this argument, but here's the Bitcoin Pearson correlation, 30-day Pearson correlation to Bitcoin for S&P 500 and gold. And it just shows the correlation being at, slightly low, minus 0.3. On gold minus 0.25, NASDAQ minus 0.33, and the S&P minus 0.45, meaning that our argument in theory, could make sense, but in reality, I'm not showing it to you. Sorry, there we go. So in argument in theory, it all sounds nice, but in reality, these things are a lot more difficult. Again, really looking at almost all the numbers, it's interesting to see how Bitcoin versus the rest of the crypto market is holding up. You can see right here from the layer 1 price performance, which is basically the main cryptos that have got their layer 1. I'm noticing the majority of the money being lost in the market is most likely actually stemming from the layer 2s and altcoins. But then again, looking at the layer 1 price performance, all of those are going down, even though it's pretty slight and not as severe as some crazier altcoins. They're all still going down a lot more than Bitcoin. If you look at the performance quite recently here, almost everything out of the top 20, so much is performing worse than Bitcoin is, especially over the last month. You could say that recently it's been overtaken a little bit, but no, if you look at almost any number, even quite recently, it's not really been doing better. Specifically, perhaps DeFi is doing a little bit better. We've also seen that the Bitcoin volatility is at one of the lowest points ever. It's just coming down lower and lower and lower. This chart is only here since the beginning of 2020, but right now the volatility for Bitcoin is at the lowest point it's tracked at. A little bit later today, I'll actually give you guys another report on the volatility / pricing model of cryptocurrencies at this point to kind of get another grasp from a completely different angle. So hopefully you guys will tune into that video in a couple of hours from now. It is going to be pretty technical and still up to interpretation on the most part, but I think a lot of you guys will enjoy it, because it might be an angle that you've not thought of before, even though, again, it could be significantly more difficult than you like. At the end of the day, though, pricing these things is quite difficult. If it was that easy, everybody would make money. And if you want to make money in crypto, you don't have to be a trader. Just know that, right? Even though I always say, hey, go get yourself some juicy prices over on BitGet. A link for that is down below. Or, hey, get yourself an $1,125 free trade over on Bybit, because I think it's juicy. Links for both of those are down below. You don't have to. At the end of the day, I made a video yesterday as well explaining my top 9 altcoins for the next bull market. I still believe that if you're playing the crypto game properly over the next couple of months, you're going to make money regardless of whether or not you have the perfect entry and you're trading every single day, watching it every single day, or just come back once every month or so. But I will say, if you're paying close attention, you sometimes have a little bit of an edge over the majority of the competition, and you are able to make even more money than the rest. Which is why later today, there's going to be a cool analysis that comes out. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you put the notification bell on for that even. I've also got a cool altcoin update. A lot of altcoin news has been put out there. However, I got to get this update to you guys as soon as possible, because this video is going on a lot longer than I expected, and the inflation numbers are coming out in like 2.5 hours from now. So I'm going to get this video out as soon as possible, and then later we got so much more cool stuff coming up. So make sure you go ahead and put the notification bell on if you didn't already, and I'll see you guys later.